Good morning, everyone. Is my voice audible? Okay. Yes, in the previous class, we were discussing about the ARM processor fundamentals. Before that, in the first chapter, what all the things we have discussed, just I'm going to say about headings. Uh, in the beginning, we have discussed the differences between the microprocessor and the microcontroller, and then we have discussed the design, risk design. What are the basic functions of the risk that we have discussed? RISC, reduce instruction set computer, and then whether that risk is completely being used, uh, whether it has been completely used in the ARM design. Even though the ARM uses the risk design, your the ARM microprocessor or microcontroller, it is going to use the risk, but some of the changes has been done, some extra features has been supported that we have discussed, and after that we have discussed the embedded system hardware. In the embedded system hardware, what are the things we discussed are the controllers, peripherals, the memory, which are the different types of memory, different types of controllers, memory controller, interrupt controller, and these are the things we discussed, and about the bus technology, AMBA, and some of the bus characteristics, all those things we discussed. Later, we have discussed embedded system software. In that embedded system software, we have discussed initialization code, boot code, and after that, what is the use of boot code, where exactly it presents, what all the important steps it happens in the boot code, all those things we discussed. And then we have discussed operating system, and finally which are the applications which are supported in the embedded systems that we discussed. The next thing is, we have started with the next chapter, ARM's fundamentals. In this chapter we are going to discuss in detail about the ARM core. What is this ARM core is all about? See, this ARM core is, just we have opened the ARM microprocessor and we are going to see the internal components. And we have discussed this ARM core, say from the single data bus, data will also come, or the address will also come. It will enter the instruction decoder if the instruction comes, because instruction some division, it cannot be understood by the processor. That is why equivalent opcode will be there. For that conversion, instruction decoder is required. If the data which comes is 16-bit, then it should be extended to 32-bit, because the register file, it contains so many register, each register is of 32-bit. That is why sign extend function block is required. After that, ALU and MAC, it is going to do the operations, multiplication, accumulate unit, or the arithmetic logic unit. From the registers, you are going to get all those values. If in case of the address, in order to fetch the next address, you have to increment the address. For that, incrementer is there. In order to store the address register is there. This is how we have explained this ARM core data flow model. After that, we have started discussing about the registers. Inside the register file, there are 18 active registers are there. Still, there are another 20 registers are there that I'm going to discuss uh, in the coming slides. Uh, 18 active registers are there. In that 16 data registers that can be used for general purpose. That too, in those 16, 13 can be used. Other three, it contains some other values. Only the 13 registers are available for the programs. If you write the ARM programs, microcontroller program, if you write, you can use only 13. Even you can use R13 and R14 registers, but in not all the case. That is why we should use only R0 to R12. These are the things: 16 data registers and 2 processor status registers, CPSR, CPSR and SPSR. It is a stack pointer. Stack pointer is in the memory there will be some set of addresses. So many set of addresses that will be used as a stack. In that top of the stack, then it is an address that will be stored in one register, that is called R13. And in case of the subroutine calls, from one place you have to go to the other location, which is the execution of subroutines. When it completes its execution of the subroutine, it has to come back. That return address, it will be stored in one register, that is this R14. And the processor, if it wants to fetch the next instruction, it will see the address in R15, which is called as a program counter, which contains the address of the next instruction to execute. That is this R15. Yes, these are the things we discussed. Now we have to start with the CPSR, current program status register. See, this register CPSR is the main register which is being used widely by the processor. Without this, the processor, it cannot run, because every time it will look into these bits. This CPSR, it is a 32-bit register. Where exactly it contains, it is going to present in a register file. We are going to divide the 8 bits into 4 parts. One is flags, another one is status, extension, and control. This status and extension, still it is under, it is reserved for some other work. As and when this processor technology improves, they use those bits. Even in the in the flags, they have used one bit for J flag, but it is not visible here. In the flag section, there is one bit called J that they have used, but status and extension still they have not used. They have kept it for some future use. Now we are going to discuss about the first 8 bits and last 4 bits. First 8 bits, 0 to 7. Those bits we have to discuss, and last 28, 29, 30, 31. That we have to discuss, understand those bits. What is the content? What it can store is 0 or 1. That is only it is possible. 32 bits means bits is nothing but 1 or 0. It can contain 1 or 0, but what is the meaning of that 1 in the 28th bit? What is the meaning of 0 in 28th bit? That we have to understand. Control fields, flag fields. That we have to discuss now. See, the first 4 bits, 0 to 4, they are called as processor mode. The next is thumb state. Thumb instruction I have discussed, right? 16-bit instruction. That thumb. The other 2 are interrupt mask. Interrupt mask. In that first one is interrupt mask, fast interrupt mask. Second one, F. These condition flags, one is negative, one is 0. That we'll discuss next one by one. Now, which are the different processor modes that we have to understand? Mainly, we are going to divide processor modes into 2 types. One is privileged mode, another one is non-privileged. Who is non-privileged? As a user, I don't have any privileges, because for a programmer, if I give the privileges, what the programmer will do is he'll go and directly manipulate the CPSR for his purpose. Intentionally or unintentionally, he may change the content of the CPSR that will create a problem for the normal execution of the programs. For other softwares also, this CPSR will be seen by the processor. Processor will always look into this register whenever it's executed. That is why for the users, it is a non-privileged mode. And all the other privileges are, there are 6 privileges modes are there: about, fast interrupt request, supervisor, system, and undefined. When we write a program and you run it, that will be when the processor will be in the user mode. means the number will be 0, 0, 0. If it is a 5-bit, 1 0 followed by 3 zeros. 1 0 followed by 3 zeros. That is 5 bits. That indicates the processor mode has entered, the processor has entered the user mode. Next, 1 0 0 0 1. Then the processor is in the fast interrupt request. In the same way, 1 0 1 1 1 means 7. 1 0 1 1 1. Last 3 bits. Just you observe last 3 bits. 1 0 1 1 1. Then the processor is in the abort mode. When does the processor enters the abort mode? During the execution of the instruction, there is a memory access. If it is not able to access that memory, if it is not possible to access that memory, if it is failed to access that memory, then the processor will enter the abort mode. Means that number will be set by the hardware. This in the CPSR, that number will be set 10111. If that number is there, processor directly enters the abort mode. Then, if that in case of interrupts are there, in that case, it will be fast interrupt request or interrupt request modes will be entered by the processor. If the operating system kernel is operating, means the core part of the program, the operating system ನಿಂತಿರೋದೇ ಕರ್ನಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ, ಆ ಕರ್ನಲ್ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಕರ್ನಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಆಪರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ CPSR ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸರ್ ಸೂಪರ್ವೈಸರ್ ಮೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. It will be in the supervisor mode. There is another mode called system mode. This system mode is, if that processor is in the system mode, means you can change the content of CPSR, current process status register na change ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ ನ change ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. You have a full read and write access to CPSR. If you want to change the CPSR, the processor should enter system mode. There is undefined mode. You have written some wrong instruction. ಆ ತರ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ARM ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ ತರ ಒಂದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಬರ್ದಿರಾ, ಅವಾಗ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. If you try to execute those type of instruction, then processor will enter undefined mode because that instruction is not supported. I think it is clear now. What is this abort? When does the processor enter abort mode? When does the processor enter system mode? When does the processor enter undefined mode? Entering is nothing but the processor will see the content of those these last 5 bits. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 5 bits ಏನಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಬಿಟ್ಸ್ ನ ನೋಡುತ್ತೆ. According to that, it will enter these modes. Now I think these processor modes are clear. Another doubt ಇದೆಯಾ? These processor modes, 6 to 7 modes.
Sir?
No?
Sir, why do we require 4 or 5 bits if we have only 7 modes in total?
See, you're worried. It is not only these many registers are there. The doubt here is, I already said in the beginning, there are 18 active registers, but still other 20 registers are there which is being banked. And also, you think, sorry, you see here, what is that? Even though we use only 8 bits and another 4 bits here, still the status and the extension bits are empty. Still they have been used for some other purpose. In the same way, these 5 bits, in that we have used only 7 modes, but still it is been reserved for the other modes, but it is not been defined. I'll tell the numbers. I'll show those numbers now, then you can understand. Okay. Say these numbers, this indicates the user mode 10 000 11 0 111. 10111. See, if you see these two, system and abort mode, 10111, 11111. It doesn't indicate the last three bits. It is not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they are not equivalent to the modes. These are the numbers they have given, and still the other numbers are reserved. I think whether this doubt is clear. Still
Yes, sir.
other numbers are there, even you can use it for some other modes. Still in future they may use it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
The numbers like 10110, still that number is there. They can use it for some other modes in future. But now, as of now, they have used only these many numbers, 5 bits. The possible numbers are 2 power 5. 32 modes they can create. Even I think now in the RM, the latest versions they may have introduced. But what the RM7 that you are reading now, in that they have just only discussed only 7 modes. As and when the technology improves, they are going to add it. Then that latest technology, when they will introduce it, after some 5 years, they are going to introduce. Clear, Aita?
Yes, sir.
Okay. These are the modes, and I was telling before, there are another some set of banked registers are there. Banked is nothing but they are hidden. They have been hidden, and when they have been used is when the processor changes its mode. When it is in the user mode, you can see only these many registers. How many? Those 18 active registers are there, right? Only those many registers you can see. Whenever you change when the processor changes its mode, then all the other registers are being used. You can see the table, the complete RM register set, which the boxes which are in the dark color, they are all banked registers. Banked registers means those registers gets active whenever the process enters in that mode. But the system mode is not there. See this banked registers. See in the fast interrupt request, how many are supported? 7 registers are there. In the interrupt request mode, 2 registers. Supervisor 2, undefined 2, and abort 2. These registers, they are called banked, or banked is nothing but they want to store something in this, in that mode. That is why the name, they have kept it as banked. But what you have to understand here is, whenever it is you running in the user mode, those many registers from R8 to R15 or some values which are there, that value where it is going to go, whether it will be erased or it will be stored somewhere. It will be stored. Where exactly it is stored is, you can see SPSR underscore FIQ below. When they are executing in the fast interrupt request mode, the content of the CPSR, it will be saved in the SPSR. That is why this SPSR is not SPSR register is there in order to save the current program status register, just to keep the backup. Whenever the processor switches from user mode to the fast interrupt request, first what it is going to do, it will keep the backup of the entire CPSR in SPSR, FIQ, or IRQ, or SVC, or undefined, or abort. In any case, it will going to keep the backup. Then those many registers will be used. Means for operations it is required. In the abort mode, see you have R13 abort. What is the syntax of those registers are that number underscore followed by the mode that will be attached. With that only it will be accessed. ಆ ತರ ಒಂದು ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಮೋಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅದರಿಂದಾನೇ ಅದನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲದರಲ್ಲೂ CPSR ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. There will be only one CPSR. Remember, there will be only one CPSR. In all the other different modes, you will have SPSR. That you should remember. To keep the backup, and those registers it will be used, and those values will be used for so many operation. And once again, at the end, whenever from the interrupt request mode, if it wants to switch back to once again user mode, in that case, what we'll do? Write the saved SPSR into the CPSR, and then it will continue its execution. ಮೋಡ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡಕರೆ ಬ್ಯಾಕಪ್ ತಗೊಳತ್ತೆ, ಆ ಮೋಡ್ ಇಂದ ವಾಪಸ್ ಬರಕರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಆ ಬ್ಯಾಕಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ CPSR ರೈಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. That is the use of this SPSR and those registers. The question is, when we are in the abort mode, R13, R14 abort mode, if the processor wants the content of R0, R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, if can it access? Yes, it can access. Whether it can store it? Yes, it can store. The normal registers you can use. With that, the other extra registers you can use it. ಈಗ ಅಬಾರ್ಟ್ ಮೋಡಲ್ ಇದೀನಿ, R13_ABT, R14_ABT ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಾತ್ರ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ? ಇಲ್ಲ. R0, R1, R2, R3, R5 ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಫೈಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದಾವಲ್ಲ ಅವನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಈ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. This program still you have a normal access to the other registers from R0 to the R12. That is what it's all about from this banked register. Keeping the backup, and why two interrupt requests are required, that you should understand. Interrupt request and fast interrupt request. If you want a faster response is required. In that case, this faster interrupt request, or the normal time, it is in all the other cases it will be interrupt request. And for what, for which purpose these bits are used? This I and F, in order to mask means whenever the interrupt is being raised, if you want to mask it, mask is nothing but ignore it. I don't want to service those interrupt. Some hardware is requesting to execute some interrupt service routine, but if you want to ignore it, if you set that particular bit to 1, it will ignore those requests. And these are the numbers which is been associated. This is what of the 5 digits which I say. The other bits are there. I think they are going to use it in future. This is not you cannot remember like this 000 is user, 001 010 011 like that. Please don't remember exactly. You have to remember the numbers, because see 10111 and 11111 somewhat different. And these are the modes. There are instruction sets are there. See, in the beginning I said only one instruction set, that is ARM 32-bit instruction set. Later on I have added there is one more instruction set that is supported, that is called as thumb, which is of 16-bit instructions. See, how many instructions are there in the ARM is 58 instructions are there, which are with the size is 32-bit. In case of thumb instruction, which is a 16-bit, how many instructions are there? 30 instructions are there. In the same way, there is another instruction set is there, which is supported in this microcontroller ARM, that is Jazelle, Jazelle. This is another instruction set, which is of 8-bit. Which is of 8-bit. For what purpose we use this Jazelle? When there is a Java bytecodes. See, Java bytecodes meaning whenever you run the program, the Java, sorry, in the C program, you will get the .obj file, object file, right? Whenever you compile, if you go to that folder and if you check some add.c, if you, that is a file name, if you go to that folder and check add.obj, add.pak, add.exe, these are the files which has been created. In that add.obj means it's an object file. In the same way, in the Java program, if you compile the program, then you will get if example add.java, add.class, add.exe, that file will be there. In that class file, that is called as a Java bytecodes. It will be converted into the bytecodes. Whenever you compile, here it is not called as object file. In case of the Java, it is called as Java bytecode. Compiled code is called as Java bytecode. In order to execute that, these Jazelle instructions are used. In order to execute those, that Java bytecodes, these core instructions are used. That instruction support which is there in Jazelle. Where exactly that J bit will be there, that Jazelle support processors are there. Not all the processor are Jazelle enabled. And that bit, where exactly that bit will be there is, say a 24th bit. In the processor, if you go to the 24th bit, and if that bit is, if it's set to 1, then it will be in the instruction is a Jazelle instruction. Means it is going to executing Jazelle instruction. In not all the processor it contains. I think it is clear. The Jazelle which executes 8-bit instructions, it's an hybrid mix of this Java virtual machine and hardware to speed up the execution of Java bytecodes. That is all about the 3 types of instruction set: ARM, thumb, and Jazelle instruction set. The next is interrupt mask. That I already said, the 6th bit and the 7th bit, this I bit or the F bit, if it is set to 1, it interrupts, it is going to mask those type of interrupts. If it is a fast interrupt, then you have to, if you want to mask, you have to set the bit to, the 7th bit should be set andre 1 ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. If it's a normal interrupt request, if you want to mask that, just set the 6th bit. 1 ಅಂತ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಅದನ್ನ ಇಗ್ನೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ. The last 4 bits. Now we come to the last 4 bits. 0 to 7 we have covered, and now we are discussing the last 4 bits: 28, 29, 30, 31. Conditional flags. See, these flags, when it will be updated is whenever there is an ALU operations, arithmetic logic operations are there, addition, subtraction, multiplication, or the comparisons are there. If you are comparing 2 numbers, greater than, less than, those operations, or just normal comparison. If you do those operations, then those 4 bits, it gets updated. See, which are those bits? See, which are the bits? What you see are, see, NZCVQ. 27th. In the first diagram, you have seen only 4 bits. Now you are seeing 5 bits. The most important is the last four: overflow, carry, zero, carry, zero, and negative. The first one, the negative n. See, when that bit will be set to 1. Negative ಅಂತ ಯಾವಾಗ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, some operation you are going to do, then the result of that operation is negative. 3 minus 20. The answer is minus 17. Now the result is negative. In that case, that bit, which bit? N, 31st bit will be set to 1. ಯಾವ್ದೋ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥಮೆಟಿಕ್ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ನಂಬರ್. ಆ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಹೋಗಿ n ಅನ್ನು 31st ಬಿಟ್ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ? 1 ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. If it is positive, then it will be set to 0. Next, 0. You are comparing. There is a compare instruction. Compare R0, R1. Compare CMP. This is an instruction. CMP R0, R1. In R0, the value is 3. In R1 also 3. What exactly it happens in the background is, whenever you write the instruction CMP R0, R1, and then if you execute, in the background R1 minus R2 it will be done. And if the result is 0, then content of the R0 and R1 will not be changed. But where it gets updated? It gets updated in 30th bit, where that is called as a 0th bit. Next, you are doing the addition operation. Whenever you are doing the addition operation, there will be a carry 1 1. If you give 1 1, 2-bit addition, 1 bit 1 1, the output is 0, and the sum is 0. Carry will be 1. If there is a carry, then this carry bit will be set to 1. Which is the carry bit? 29. If there is a carry at the end of the result, the final result, then that carry will be set to 1. If there is no carry, the answer will be 0. Example, 0 and 1. If you are adding just 1-bit addition, I am saying it can be any number of bits. 16-bit, 32-bit addition can happen. Final result, the last bit result, if there is a carry, then this bit will be set to 1 or else 0. Next, if there is a overflow, if you are trying to save, you have added 2-bit, 16-bit or 32-bit values you have added, and you are trying to store somewhere. But there is a carry, but there is no place to store. There is a overflow case. In that case, signed overflow, then which bit? 28th bit will be set to 1 if there is an overflow in case of any operation. This last Q bit, it also indicates an overflow, but in not all the cases. What we, for the general purpose, when we normally whenever we write the programs, we don't use those bit 27th bit, but there are a digital signal processing instructions are there. In that case, if those type of instructions, then those bit will be set to 1 in case of overflow. These are the 5 different flags, conditional flags, which will be supported in CPSR. See, where exactly this will be used? For the conditional execution, you can use this like this. There are the instruction EQ. It is a mnemonics, and that prefix you are going to add Z to that. EQZ. These conditional flags you can add less than if it is 0. If you add this as a suffix, not prefix, suffix at the end, then in the instruction, if you add those, then what will happen in the background is the processor, whenever it in order to execute the next instruction, first it is going to check those particular bits and then it will continue the execution. Conditional execution ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೇ. ಈಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಈ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ಸ್ ಇದಾವಲ್ಲ, ಆ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. EQZ, NE small z. If it is equal, go to some subroutine. If it is not equal, some set of instruction. ಆತರ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಬರ್ದಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಪ್ರೊಸೆಸರ್, ಆ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಹೆಂಗ್ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನಾಗಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, previous instruction can be a compare or any other ALU operations. The end result will be updated in the CPSR. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಂದಾಗ ಹೋಗಿ CPSR ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಆ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ಸ್ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ. These are the suffix that you can attach, which will be supported. Equal, 0, non-overflow, so many are there. Do you have any doubts in this? This is all about the registers. Then we'll go to the pipeline. Next we'll go to the pipeline. In the registers, do you have any doubts? No? I think no doubts. Conditional execution. Okay. See, conditional execution is compare R0, R1. This type of instruction is there. EQ, if it is 0, some label. You have some other set of instruction. See, this is what someone has asked about. What is conditional execution? See, there is some operation. This is not an ALU operation. It is just a comparison. When these condition instructions execute CMP R0, R1, what happens is it is going to subtract R0 minus R1. Then, if the result is 0, then Z bit will be set to 1. Where exactly it will be updated? It will be updated in CPSR. And what is the bit number? 30th bit. In the CPSR, 30th bit will be set to 1. Because it will be, the result is 0. Because both the numbers are same. In the R0, it is 3, and in the R1 also 3. That is why the result is 0, because subtraction happens. Now, whenever it starts executing this instruction, equal, and if it is 0, go to this label. Label andre adu yado one subroutine. Ella one kade ide some label, and in this you have some instruction. Some add instruction is there. R0, R1. Some instructions are there. It will go to this location and it will start executing the instruction. If this condition is satisfied, in order to check EQZ, where exactly it will go means, processor when it starts executing, it will go to the CPSR and it will check the 30th bit. Okay, this bit is 1 now. The condition is satisfied. Then go to this location. If the CPSR 30th bit is 0, then it will start executing the next instruction. This is called conditional execution. Based on the condition, it will be executed. ಈ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಸ್ಯಾಟಿಸ್ಫೈ ಆದ್ರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್. ಇಫ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ನೀವು ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮೆಟಿಕಲ್ ಇಫ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತೀರಲ್ಲ, ಇಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಮ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ಸ್ 0 ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್, ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಅನದರ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್. ಅವಾಗ ಏನ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ತರ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್? ಓಕೆ. These are the things you have to attach to the instruction. The next thing is pipeline. Say,
Sir. Sir, what is the difference between capital Z and small z over there in that table?
See, in both the cases also, it is going to be attached to the 0 itself. It is going to check the 0th flag itself. 30th bit ne nodadu, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದೇ ಬೇರೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟ ನೋಡಲ್ಲ. In order to attach with that, they have given that Z or capital Z, but there is no difference. 0th flag ಇರೋದು ಒಂದೇ ಆ CPSR ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದೇ ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ನೇ ನೋಡೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Okay, sir.
It doesn't have any other option. If it is not equals 0th flag, if it is equals also 0 flag only it is going to check. I don't have seen observe it. ಇನ್ಯಾವುದು ಬೇರೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನನಗೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ Z ಇಂದ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ Z, ಅದು 0th ಫ್ಲಾಗ್ ನೋಡೋದು ನೀವು, ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ Z ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ Z. ಬಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಟ್ರೈಡ್ ಅದೇನಂದ್ರೆ EQZ ಜೊತೆ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ Z ಹಾಕಿ. But you have only one option, that is the 30th bit, that is a 0th flag. I think they want to use capital Z with the EQ and small z with the NE, not equal. But finally it will say only the 30th bit itself.
Okay, sir.
Okay. See, these things, if you want to do the trial and error, all these things you have to do it in the microcontroller lab. Whenever you run those program in the Keil software, then you can clearly understand the instructions, syntax, whether and also the importance about the case, whether they are case sensitive or case insensitive. Next, see, now you are executing the instructions. There are 100 instructions. If there are 100 instructions, assume that if it requires to execute one instruction 1 second, and in order to execute the 100 instructions, 100 seconds are required. And if the instruction, if it is only a single operation, means just fetch from the memory, or only decode operation, or just only writing into the memory, if it is only one operation, you would have done easily. But in order to execute the instruction, first step what you have to do is that instruction will be somewhere, it will be in the memory. First you have to fetch. Then high level means we should not call it as a high level, because high level is what the program we write, C language, but sum, add, multiplication, if it will be in that language, but that sum, add, that will not be understood by the this microcontroller in that processor. It is not going to understand. You have to decode it. That instruction need to be decoded. After that, you have to execute. These many steps are there: fetch, decode, execute for single instruction. And once again, after that, you have to write back the result into the register. If these many steps are there for single instruction, then we are going to divide into three stages. Fetch is separate, decode is separate, execute is separate. Three functional units. That first functional unit, it is going to get the fetch unit from instruction from the memory. The second part, it is going to decode that instruction, means equivalent opcode will be taken. Then in the ALU, that operation will be done, execute operation will be done. If these many stages are there, each one is called as a stages. And so many instructions are there, why we cannot do parallelly execution of the instructions, which will speed up our execution. Parallel execution ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆ ಪ್ಯಾರಲಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒನ್ ಬೈ ಒನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಇಫ್ ಇಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ಸ್ ಸೋ ಮಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್, then we are not going to use those type of processor itself. We want faster processor. ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಅಷ್ಟು ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು. For that itself, for what we are going to do is pipelining concepts we used. What is those pipelining is, if one instruction is in the decode stage, other instruction will be in the fetch stage. One more instruction can be in the execute stage. Now, three different functional units, they are not idle, they are doing something. In that way, if you efficiently use these three functional units, then you can speed up the execution. This way of dividing the work into the different functional units and parallelly executing the instruction is called as pipelining. Pipelining in the advantage ಏನು, faster execution. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನಿರುತ್ತೆ, ತ್ರೀ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್, ಫೆಚ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಡಿಕೋಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್. ಇನ್ ARM 7 3 stages are there. In the ARM 9 5 stages are there. In version 10 6 stages are there. The number of stages they have increased, and I'll tell what are the problems also if you increase the number of stages also. See, if you want to visualize, you can visualize like this. See the time chart. See, illela seconds ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, cycle ಹೇಳೋದು. Cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3. You can assume it as the cycle 1 as first 10 milliseconds, 5 milliseconds. Cycle 1, in the first stage, there are three functional units and three instructions are there. Add instruction, subtract instruction, and compare instruction. Three instructions are there. ಮೂರು ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಬರ್ದೀರಾ ಒನ್ ಬೈ ಒನ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿ? Can anyone count and say? Three different functional units are there. Without pipelining, how many clock cycles are required to execute three instructions? Count ಮಾಡಿ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಹೇಳಿ ನೋಡೋಣ. Number. Some number you have to say. Without pipelining, in order to execute three instructions, three stages are there. Without pipelining, how many clock cycles are required? Anyone? Good. The answer is 9. 9 clock cycles are required. In clock cycle 1, add fetch will be there. In the clock cycle 2, decode will be there. In clock cycle 3, add. It completes its execution. In the clock cycle 4, subtract will be in the fetch mode. In the clock cycle 5, subtract will be in the decode. In clock cycle 6, it will be in the execute. In the same way, compare. 9 are required. In case of pipelining, how many are required? Now count. ಈಗ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಕೌಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. 9 ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೂ ಬೇಡ, 9 ಸೈಕಲ್ಸ್ ಬೇಡ. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, In the third clock cycle itself, add is completed. In the fourth clock cycle, subtract will complete. No, the answer is not 3. See, the answer in the third cycle, only add is completed. I want all the 3 instruction. Compare is there. 3 alla. It is not 3. See, at the third clock cycle, add is going to complete. At the fourth clock cycle, subtract will complete. At the fifth clock cycle, compare is going to complete. It is 5. 5th answer. Do anyone want to argue it as 6, 7? See here, just you can see 3 stages are there. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಆಡ್ ಮುಗೀತು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಆಡ್ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ 4 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮುಗಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಅವಾಗ ಡಿಕೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಕ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸೈಕಲ್ ಮುಗಿಯೋಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅವಾಗ ಎಕ್ಸಿಕ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ 5. ಸಿ ನೌ ವೇರ್ ಈಸ್ 9 ಅಂಡ್ ವೇರ್ ಈಸ್ 5? You have saved those many clock cycles. In that way, you have reduced the number of clock cycle by using the pipeline. See, we'll discuss this once again in the next class. Please send your attendance. Quickly, please send your attendance. It is already 11:40. Okay. So we'll discuss this pipelining once again in the next class. If you have send attendance, you can exit. If you have any doubts, you can ask, or else in the group also you can ask. If no doubts, then thank you. Rachana, present is not allowed. You have to send the USN and the name. Rachana. Rachana ji. Good Rachana. Rakshita, Shushmita. Any doubts, Rakshita? No? Rakshita. Both Rakshitas are there, 78 and 79. Rakshita, good.